How to set up a basic server for your website in 3 minutes. So this is my extremely complex and modern looking front end. This is the front end. It looks absolutely terrible, but the point of this video is not how to create a front end, but how to create a server and to make get and post requests to and from that server. And if you want to get a message from the server, you type in the ID and it'll send you back the message that corresponds to that ID. The same concept can be used for getting and posting people's accounts. Instead of an ID, you would probably use a username or an email, but I wanted to keep this as simple as possible. I keep the get and post requests in a separate file. I think it's cleaner that way, and then I use Axios to make those requests. This is the server. It's extremely simple, and in my opinion, this is not how you should code your server, but I'll show you that this works, and then I'll show you a better way to do it. So to show you that it works, I'm going to create the message hello with an ID of 1 and post it to the server. Then we can get that message by putting in an ID of 1, and we get back hello. Now this is the refactored server, and I think this is a lot cleaner way to do it. You keep the base URL in the index.js, and then you keep all the routes in a separate file. Now these are the routes that we're using, but we keep the callback functions for those routes in a separate file. And these are the callback functions. So for get data, we destructure the ID from the query, we find that in the database, and then we return that. If there's no data with that ID, then we return an error. To post data, we destructure the ID and the message from the body of the request. We see if that ID already exists, and if it does, then we send back an error, and if it doesn't, then we save the data. We also keep the models in a separate file. So this is the schema for the data, and we have an ID and the message. So now that it's refactored, let's make another post request with an ID of 2, and then we'll get that data. But now let's try to make a post request with the same ID. So the ID of 2 already exists in the database, and we get an error.